Yes, that is a Zweihander. And yes, it has a flame infusion. Try to eliminate one at a time. Projectile required ahead. All these hints are very, very true. See, those things, the guide calls them rat dogs, and they cause toxic very easily with 2 attacks. Now this is me literally discovering that the draw distance of my casual soul arrow is just too short. So you want to take a couple steps, fire away, ideally kill one of them, and then get the rest when they get close. And then you meet the biggest dog rat there is. And the hitbox on that charge is stupid. I think I managed to perfectly dodge it a handful of times. But this right here, it's not a difficult fight once you realize you don't want to lock on. And you just want to hit him in the leg. I do appreciate in this game that fire infusions on a lot of weapons just cause them to explode when they hit something. It's really satisfying. I appreciate that. Not sure what he's doing over there, but okay. I really hate that he spams that move a lot. See? There it is. That's a perfect dodge. And that was not. Now, you'll notice that the damage he's taking versus the damage he's doing is not significant. Largely because he's a giant dog rat. And I am vastly healthier. It's not a... Oh, hey! I love those little things. Just say, by the way, here's some help. You did good. People like your notes. It's always appreciated in situations like this that someone likes my random jokes. Always, always helpful. I do appreciate that they know how annoying this boss will be for some people by putting a bonfire in front of the room, which isn't typically done here. And then there's no summons. None whatsoever that you can call on to fight the Royal Rat Authority. It's all you, unless you've got friends. Now, I don't recommend this. This was a big mistake. This was a huge mistake I did. See that? That's hubris. Don't be like me. Because I did it. But I didn't. So that regurgitation is terrible. Real bad. Real bad. It'll only occur just like certain attacks changing. As this boss, once you get about 20% of its health, get it to about 20%, it'll start doing weaker attacks and limping a bit more. But that acid pool will just destroy your equipment and it just kills you. It is pure sulfuric dumb, and it's awful. You can essentially block every single attack he does with a shield too, except for that. It's like Aaron Black's acid vials in MK11. You're just gonna get chipped until you're gypped. That's how it be. That's how it be. Now, this round, I went ahead and I didn't take off terribly much, but I did put on Alva's armor, because I like the fashion, and I like that explosion! I didn't like getting toxic, though. And then there's me, just panic, poison moss. I was lucky, I tanked that just well enough, and I did, if you notice, get a very delayed amount of health back from killing that one rat dog. God, what a stupid thing to say. It's just not a... It's not a name. It's not a sound that comes out of the mouth sounding intelligent. Or formidable in any sense. In D&D, you can at least have owl bears and you go, oh, an owl bear. And you sit there and like, oh, that sounds interesting. Or bugbears. And those goblinoids, those have interesting names. But a dog rat? It just sounds like a weird insult. Very foreign to me. And also, look at him go. Look at him really trying to hit me today. This went so much better than the first attempt. And he's already at 20%. And he's going to throw up. Yeah. That's why you apply pressure. He's even actually really weak to magic. I wonder if I just did a magic weapon run that I could just take him down. But I think this is the best outcome, ultimately. Just came in there with a big old weapon and clobbered him down. Sometimes that's what you need to do. It's just what you need to do. I do wish I went back to repair my covetous silver ring, but I was trying my best to not waste too much time on him. I suppose it'll all work out in the end, because it probably won't be the first time that I fight him. But, I'm sorry, it won't be the last time I meant, but listen to this, man.
Leave this place, human. We have no time for thy kind. Humans bring nothing but filth. Is that a rat tail, human?
Yes, my lord.
One of mine rat burrows conquered. This will not go unnoticed. Rejoice, for the right to serve me is now thine. Since thou art human still, permit me ask, wilt thou thy human soul surrender, and pledge thyself to me? Swearest thou by the sweet-tempered sludge that laps at our bosoms?
Yes!
Thou hast the eyes of one who perceiveth true beauty. Human, thou mayst serve. Take this ring. It was forged by a human who was once among us. The ring draws to thee those who would defile our burrow. Wear the ring whenever thou art near, and destroy those who would dare provoke our ire. I will grant unto thee all thou shouldst so desire. I prithee serve with a true rat's honor. Speak thy mind, servant.
You're so cool.
Tell me the way of things. There has been much honor in thy service. Despite the human blood coursing thy veins, I am merciful, and trust in thee as I would any rat. The insolent fools line up to trample upon our burrows. My servant, dispatch these invaders, and thy reward will be handsome indeed. Knowest thee of the lockstones, those odd contraptions fashioned by human hand long ago? Thou art human, and thence able. I know thy kind, base plotters and schemers all. Put these contraptions to thy employ against thy foe. My servant, there has been much. I am merciful.
See, I really like him because he speaks in very fragmented iambic pentameter. And the way he works with his rhyming couplets, it's
My servant.
It's more quality than prior characters in this game have any right to have. The way he speaks is more concise and constant without any of the continual uses. Like, yes, he's speaking in Old English, and in From Software titles you will find that with characters who are out of time or come from a bygone era. You will see that a lot in Souls games, where they will speak with thouest and comest. But this one, this boy, he is so good. I fucking love the Rat King, because he's got a very nice sounding voice, and his audio quality is very good. It doesn't match a lot of the game, which is intentional. I feel that it is strongly intentional, but I also find it very, very good, and I enjoy it. Also, the whole idea, because he's a twist on bohemian lifestyle, since he's suggesting in a way that, hey, just to let you know, we value beauty here, things that are natural. And fuck that pool of poison. You see that? You see that? Whenever you have the green goo on you, you will start building up poison. And once that happens, your health will tick, 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 tick down. Also, let's talk to this unnatural and unnecessary amount of TNA in my fantasy game. Also, if you haven't noticed, this is the beginning of Earth and Peaks, which will be in Dark Souls 3.
Are you a traveller?
Oh wait,
I'm Chloanne, a Northstone trader.
name's Fortinbras.
I travel about collecting rare stones, which I sell to make my living.
Oh, well, money or
I
souls?
never planned to visit this god's-forsaken place.
God, is there a currency aside from souls?
I just sort of ended up here. I must have just wandered in. But now that I'm here, I've been scouting around for rare bits. Oh, don't look at me like that.
You're always holding
Many of these stones
bones.
are quite useful. For instance, certain stones are used in smithing. Ah, now your ears prick up. Have extras if you can pay. This is my trade, after all.
Now, it is kind of goofy and I do notice it a lot, but occasionally she'll equip a hook hand device onto her. I don't know if she actually loses her hand later on.
I came here in search of rare stones, but the place is nothing like I was told. All this poison, and you can't get very far inside. Don't just go haplessly wandering about.
I
These
will try.
stones may look all the same, but to the trained eye, each is unique.
This is a loop conversation
Some
piece.
of them are used to smith weapons and armor, and some unique stones provide special benefits. Some of them are extremely rare and should be used with great thrift. None of the differences are easily spotted, but I've learned quite a lot, really. Drang Lake. How is it that I ended up here? It's funny. I can't seem to remember. I've searched every nook and cranny here. I suppose it's time to move on. Perhaps we'll meet again, if we live that long. I've searched perhaps... I suppose it's about...
Now, later on she'll go to Majula and we'll learn a little bit about her. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and start down the painful road of what the hell is that thing? Why is it in poison? And yada yada. Oh, look how fucking metal that guy is. Sure, he's really big and slow and he's a master blaster, but Jesus Christ, he one-hands a giant dark spell fireball magic thing, and it's never going to be explained why he does that. But it's so fucking cool. I love it. Look at him go, oh no, oh. And then I tried doing some pot shots on these hollows here, but honestly that was a waste of time and resources. And we're gonna keep watching it just because it's a little funny, because I'm just trying to play shoots and ladders with this little crawly. And I killed that one. And then I thought about trying for that one, and I went, probably not, no, let's not do that. Now, I don't go too much farther into this in this video because I wanted to cut it off early. This video was intended just to show you my approach when it came to dealing with the Royal Rat Authority, because my first introduction to Dark Souls 2 was a friend of mine in college actually sitting down and playing this. We were in between classes just hanging out in his dorm, and he was fighting the Royal Rat Authority, and he had a fairly difficult time taking care of it. But then again, he and I, well, to some extent, weren't as familiar with the Souls series as I am now and as we are now. Still keep up with him from time to time. He's a good friend of mine. But often I found that he struggled quite a bit because he was being very, very defensive, but very, very methodical. It's sort of like when you break into a single mindset and you will not break from your particular gameplay loop. You won't change up your weapons or your tactics, but you sort of do the same thing over and over. Like, I honestly might be wasting time right now because as soon as I discovered the binoculars use, I abuse the ability to just shoot things that can't reach me easily, so it makes fighting things up close pretty instantaneously not as bad. Which, is okay if you can supplement that later on when casting is not the best option. My first playthrough as a sorcerer showed me that being a fragile boy who just knew a bunch was a good way to get yourself killed in a boss room, because odds are you might not have a summon and it might just be you. So I had to learn and adapt. For some people it's much more difficult than that because they train their minds and are creatures of habit. They don't break from the mold that they create from themselves, and that's not altogether a terrible thing. It's more common than you might run into. But he had a hard time with the Royal Rat Authority because it wasn't a game of let's rush down the boss to take them apart. It was a war of attrition for him. And so bosses ended up taking a lot longer for him than it would otherwise. And while I find that to be not all that great for him, it is how he plays. And while that may be annoying to deal with from time to time, it also made him a lot more difficult to kill than me. So there are those drawbacks. There's trying to combat with strategy, and then there's merely being defensive. I find the dichotomy between these two to be very interesting in Souls games because you can run the gamut and you'll understand the intention of a build or a person just from how they're going to approach you. More often than not, if you play a From Software game, you will run into people who have a formulaic way of doing things. Invaders who just want to get the score, get whatever item or consumable they can, will go ahead and think about their environment. And they typically will do their best to abuse the system in the environment that they are currently around. For example, in here, they would probably see if they could lure you into the poison pit, or start aggroing enemies, or walking near enemies so they could be aggroed by you trying to attack that invader. Which is a smart way of doing things. It makes your work a lot less difficult and single-handed, as opposed to dealing with one enemy who's also juggling you and a bunch of skeletons. At the same hand, there's people who like dueling, so they like playing one-on-one against specifically other players. I know people that like to specifically play this game for only PvP purposes. Whole YouTube channels always do that, and I find it always interesting that YouTube channels that deal with, say, tournament fighting and Mortal Kombat, or more of the competitive ends of things like PvP, they have a long-standing process of popularity. It always places them in a spot where they don't have to, I guess, expose themselves as much to the other parts of their playthrough. Yeah, there will always be those people who chummingly play in with their friends, and those are, you know, the Arzdavas or the Vadividyas. That's nice. When they come down after doing a bunch of lore dumps, that they'll just talk about how they played the game. I appreciate that. But the competitive end of things, it never feels it never feels significant enough for me. There's not a great amount of story that comes from fighting individuals. That's why I never really want to upload anything I do in Combat League, even though every now and again I can waffle stomp a turd with Kotal Khan and feel really, really good because Kotal's my boy. But at the same time, it's frustrating. I feel that it causes undue stress on me when I do those types of competitive things, maybe because psychologically I like to take great pride in the gameplay I do. From time to time, I like to think that I'm smart and good at combos, which is partially why my nickname is what it is. And maybe that makes my skin very thin when it comes to games where it's not always about knowing how to do a good combo, but sometimes it's knowing what the pressure is that you need to apply to an opponent. Or perhaps it's the best way you can counter a move that you know is not as safe as this move, and you know the frame data for that. Or maybe you just know it's really hard to detect teleports when you're fighting a Wi-Fi warrior and you have a really good LAN connection. maybe it's all of those and none of those. Who's to say? And I totally fell for this. Yeah, I was like, oh, you got me, you motherfuckers. And so I just kept doing it anyway, since I was just right in front of a bonfire, and my health wasn't dire. But look at that, that was just about a quarter of my health from just doing a full circle around. Fucking poison pots, guys. Always avoid those. You don't need that in your life. Now, we'll load into Majula here, and we're going to have a little bit more of a lore time, and that'll close out this video for the most part. Again, not as long as my other parts, but it's a good 0.5 of something that I'll add in, just because it includes an annoying boss that people didn't like, and it'll involve a little bit of, well, conversations. All in all, I don't know. I like revisiting Dark Souls 2. I'll probably see about completing this and then the DLCs in time. My goal for this playthrough, to be completely honest, is to find and beat Aldea. I haven't been able to do it correctly in the past, and I've always wanted to fight him. Not for any difficulty reasons, partially just because of completion.
My witless daughter finally came home.
Aww.
Just as oblivious as she's always been. Well, at least now I can keep an eye on her. Stones, try asking my daughter. You might be surprised. Drat. You're worse than my witless daughter. Don't spend your whole life in transit, you hear?
I enjoy that Leningrast is right here, just blacksmithing, and his daughter's outside. And it's one of those few moments where you have related members of a family actually in close proximity to each other in a From Software game, and there's nothing dramatic that happens. The best thing that happened to them is the player character. The player character brings them together and gives them a bit of purpose, and they stay together for the rest of the game with no real tribulations. The most that's funny is, since Leningrast has gone hollow, he doesn't look necessarily the same as he did in life, although he's not terribly hollow. I think he's in the very early stages of it. But his daughter, she doesn't recognize him, and that's a trifle bit sad. Let's talk to her about that. Yeah, and that's the looped conversation.
You know how they call this? Well, in the old lore, in stories and the like, they said it had another name. What was it? Well, I don't know. It's just something I heard.
Lordron?
Since long, long ago, many kingdoms have risen and fallen, each like a great flame that turns to soot. Maybe that's why people don't remember much about the past. You see that blacksmith over there? Is he one of those hollows? He seems to keep eyeing me up.
Probably because you should, I don't know, pull that dress just a little bit up, please.
The poor man's such a worrywart.
Oh.
But he wouldn't follow me out here, would he?
Oh, he would. He did.
I was born in a land to the west, Bulgan, famous for its merchants.
Which means both of them aren't from
They were quite
Majula.
bustling cities. But for me, they were suffocating.
And the Leningrast has been here for years looking for
in
her.
search of stones in faraway lands.
She came here
There were
first,
dangers for certain,
and he came after.
but I much prefer to live this way.
And yet,
But for
she's
the
not
life of
hollow.
me, I can't remember how I ended up here.
But he
It's
is.
as if I were drawn to the place, or lured in.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Well, thanks for your time again, everyone.
Stones
Bye 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 bye.